What's going on, everybody? LK here, and today we're going to talk about how to read a tier list. So last week I posted my Guilty Gear Strive 1.1 tier list, which you see in front of you right now. And people had really good comments agreeing and disagreeing with placements on the characters, but very often, basically every time I post a tier list, people really get into the weeds on how it's structured with like S minus, A plus, why characters on the bottom have like a B tier rating, like hey, if they're bad, just say that they're D, okay, blah blah blah. So, and I decided to make this video today to tell you guys how you should approach reading these rankings from people. So first, in my opinion, if the tier list is made within 3 months of a version's release or a game's release, I basically think you should look at it as just impressions and not like a serious, like, these are how good the characters are. There's just no way anyone's going to know how good the characters are that fast. And then while it might be easy to rank characters like Sol or Mei or Giovanna, maybe like simpler characters, it's hard to see how good a character like Chip is going to be, or how good a character like Milia or Jacko or any technical character like that. Zato's another one, etc. It takes time for characters like that to develop. Even the simpler characters can develop a lot in that time as well. So again, basically, this is the main reason why I don't make tier lists very early in the game, because I really want to make sure I have a good understanding of the cast overall. Then you should look at how people define their tier lists. If you just look at the image, you're basically just looking at it from your perspective. So if there's something you don't agree with, you're just gonna be like, what the fuck is this? If at least they define like what they think is important and explain why each character is where they are, even if you don't agree, at least you'll get their perspective. So this list, as I said in the video last week, the most important thing in this game is easy access to your win condition, and the characters that are higher have this. The characters that are lower usually have some problem with conversion ability from some perspective, or not always getting access when they get hits or things like that. And then the last thing would be about the lettering. So one, why don't you do A, B, C, D like normal people? That's a common one. So the letters suggest how good the characters are, right? So here's a test of how you, the viewer, can look at characters. If the characters on the bottom, are they bad or not? So the fact that the lowest tier is B should tell you there are no technically bad characters. Like, those characters are weaker for sure than the characters at the top, but their problems are relatively minor compared to an actual bad character. This is an old tier list I made back in BlazBlue Chrono Phantasma 1.0. Okay, kind of an old game, but you can see the spread from double S to D tier. So what this should tell you is that one, there's a broken fucking character in this game. Kokonoe was too fucking good, right? Like, literally too good, had access to stuff that other characters didn't have, had an unblockable super that did like 70%, legitimately did 70% to you, all sorts of crazy nonsense, right? And then there are characters that are D tier, literally D tier. Like, the D tier characters are not good. Like, that's why they are in D tier. If those characters were in B tier, let's just say that the bottom of this game was also B tier, I wouldn't so flatly say that those characters are not good. But for this tier list, Kagura is not a good character. He doesn't even have good knowledge checks really in this version, and he's not mobile. He doesn't really do anything of note. Bullet, interesting gimmick, her drive, the lock-on drive, but in this version, like, she's just not mobile enough. It's hard for her to access it. So these characters that are C and below, they are actual struggle bus characters compared to the characters at the top. I would say, in my opinion, they've been doing an overall really good job in modern fighting games, at least the ones that I've played, to make the games like fair, like relatively fair. Like, it's been a pretty common theme I've seen. Let's say, like, starting around like Dragon Ball Season 2, I was like, man, like, honestly, all these characters are good. Like, they're characters that are better, but all the characters are good. Like, there was no characters that I would look at and be like, this character is straight up bad. Another point I want to talk about are like the pluses and minuses. Sometimes you see like A plus, S minus, A minus, things like that. That is supposed to imply that those characters are basically that rank, like pretty close, and it's just something to signify that, like, I think there's a difference between these characters and these characters. For example, we can use Milia, right? Like, Milia, I think people would say Milia is definitely better than Faust. and definitely better than Anji, right? And people would probably also say, let's say Potemkin is better than Milia, right? But I don't think a lot of people would be like, Potemkin is way better than Milia, the way they would say like Nago is way better than Milia. Or if you want to look at it another way, the characters are S minus, like they're pretty much top tier. Like you could win stuff with them, as you saw, like Giovanna won Arc Revo Japan finals. You can win consistently with these characters as well. Probably not having to play multiple characters either, unless you really wanted to stabilize your matchup spread. But despite their strengths, so like take a character like Zato. Zato has many strengths. His main weaknesses is just like his defense is not good, and he's not super consistent at converting. That's really the only difference between him and a character like Nago and Leo. Like besides that, he has a ton of amazing stuff. Like he gets 50-50s from neutral, huge screen control that some people just can't deal with. He can reflect projectiles. He has a good command grab. He does a lot of damage. If he breaks the wall with super, the game's over. He has a lot of good stuff. It's just only just a couple of just very small things that separate him from, let's say, Leo or something. So hopefully all that made sense. Let me know if you have any questions or comments in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you guys feel like it, and I'll see y'all next time.